Good Tuesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversations Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. We, of course, have your news headlines coming up on this Tuesday. Have a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, you hear part of our conversation with author Nitki's dad discussing the book, The Warrior Within. You don't want to miss that. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Tuesday headlines. In Mississippi news, Cicada-geddon. Mississippi will soon be bombarded with cicadas. Many in the U.S. will soon be face-to-face with the biggest bug emergence in centuries in what some are calling Cicada-geddon. Trillions of cicadas underground are on track to crawl out in a double dose of weirdness. Considered the largest periodical cicada group, they emerge every 13 years. As that group disappears, another group will emerge. This group resurfaces every 17 years. They overwhelm you with numbers, says Dr. Frank A. Hale of the University of Tennessee's Extension Program to Nexstar's WKRN. Hale estimated that some areas may see up to 1 million cicadas per acre. This is the first time since 1803 that they co-emerge, according to the University of Connecticut, though we last saw a 13-year brood and a 17-year brood emerge together in 2015. So will you be among the lucky or unlucky ones who are infiltrated by the brood this year, they ask? Like April's solar eclipse and the latest report on who will get an early summer, it depends on where you live. Sometimes known as the Great Southern Brood, the University of Illinois says cicadas will emerge across Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. If you live near any of these states, you also may have a fair chance of seeing a stray cicada or two. If you live in the West, say Utah or California, you're likely spared from being bombarded by these bugs. In more national news, CNN ends King Charles Barkley and Gayle King's show, says the Wall Street Journal. CNN is taking King Charles' primetime program, with Charles Barkley and Gayle King off the air less than 5 months after its debut. The show was the brainchild of former CNN chief executive Chris Litt, who left the network in June of last year after chaotic tenure of a little over a year. I have loved working with you, and something tells me, Charles, this will not be the last time that we're working together, Gayle King told Charles Barkley in what was the show's final episode. The CNN limited series televised its final episode last week, with co-host Charles Barkley and Gayle King signing off with thanks for staff and compliments for each other. Call me, Gayle, Barkley replied. We will see you the next time whenever we see you, King told viewers. Thanks so much for being with us for the last 6 months. We had a blast. A CNN spokesperson noted that the show was announced as a limited series with a defined end date of spring 2024. Early episodes, however, failed to connect with viewers, though CNN has noted that the show had the youngest, most affluent, and most diverse audience in its cable news time period. In more national news, gun supervisor for Rust movie gets 18 months in prison for fatal shooting by Alec Baldwin on set. A movie weapons supervisor was sentenced to 18 months in prison in the fatal shooting of a cinematographer by Alec Baldwin on the set of the Western film Rust during a hearing Monday in which tearful family members and friends gave testimonials that included calls for justice and a punishment that would instill greater accountability for safety on film sets. In more national news, Ethiopia's Sese Lema wins Boston Marathon in runaway. Sese Lema scorched the first half of the Boston Marathon course on Monday, setting a record pace to build a lead of more than half a mile. Then the weather heated up, and the 34-year-old Ethiopian slowed down. After running alone for most of the morning to finish in 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 17 seconds, the 10th fastest time in the race's 128-year history. Lema dropped to the pavement and rode onto his back, smiling after crossing the finish line. Lema, the 2021 London champion, arrived in Boston with the fastest time in the field, just the fourth person ever to break 2 hours and 2 minutes when he won in Valencia last year. And he showed it on the course Monday, separating himself from the pack in Ashland and opening a lead of more than half a mile. And finally, in business news, retail surged 0.7% in March as Americans seem unfazed by higher prices with jobs plentiful. Americans boosted spending at a hotter-than-expected pace in March, underscoring how shoppers remain resilient despite inflationary pressures and other economic challenges. Retail sales rose 0.7% last month, almost double what economists had forecast after rising 0.9% in February, according to the Commerce Department data released on Monday. The February figure was revised upward. That comes after sales fell 1.1% in January, dragged down in part by inclement weather. Excluding gas prices, which have been on the rise, retail sales still rose a solid at 0.6%. The national average gas price Monday was $3.63 per gallon per AAA, up 6 cents from a week ago and up 19 cents from last month, but they're still 3 cents below where they were at their point last year. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Tuesday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. There will come a point in life when you have to go from just talking about it to being about it. Change doesn't happen with just thoughts. To see results, you have to choose to act. Have an amazing Tuesday. We are part of my conversation coming up with author Nitki's dad in today's Entertainment Spotlight. Stay with us. You're listening to Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Entertainment Spotlight. Author Nitki's dad joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about his writing journey and the book, The Warrior Within. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Nitki's dad, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
So I think it's so fascinating what you've been able to do in writing a book like The Warrior Within, but also in choosing how you want to be able to speak to the world. So I want to begin there. What has it been like for you to see the way that people have responded to your work, but also the messages you want to share?
It's been enlightening. There have been a lot of stories that I've shared. Not that I was never expecting anybody to follow the same path, only for them to be able to see that they could connect to something and apply it to their own life and maybe move beyond whatever was blocking them. And when you see or feel that light go off, it's been overwhelming. And again, you're not sitting there with an expectation of a thank you or anything like that. You're just sharing it because you want that person to succeed beyond whatever it is they're struggling with. And that is just refreshing, and being able to share that. And then for them, hopefully, they move beyond, and then they can maybe take their story and share it with someone else.
So I want to ask you, when did you first know that you had something that you wanted to share? I think a lot of people out there, Nitki's dad, will listen to a conversation like this and think, you know what? I've had these thoughts, I've had these feelings, I've had these, what I see as epiphanies and revelations, and I just wondered if anyone would care. What made you take that step to be able to have the courage to share?
Well, I've had the ideas or the thoughts for easily probably a decade or two, but I would jot stuff down here and there. I guess what the triggering event was, I had actually already started writing. I had completed my first draft of The Warrior Within, and my intention was just to write my own story so that I wouldn't have to go into the verbal explanation with a significant other, because I didn't know if I'd have the emotional strength to do that.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. I'll be back on tomorrow with more news, message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By, and of course, Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, my host Cyrus Webb saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let us go make today amazing. Take care.